when we are still having a shortfall. That's the truth. Our energy requirements over the years, with our successive governments in power, we have not gotten to that stage as to export. Though it has been in place with I think about past regimes exporting energy to Chad. I think was it Togo or where? But about 3 countries, three neighboring West African countries are doing that. But then the part remains that you cannot or you should not export energy when you have a shortfall, serious national shortfall when it comes to energy requirements. Nigeria, we have how many generating stations in place now, aside the Bitama station at Lagos Ikorodu there, and then the Kenji and how many dams are functioning now? We have, I think, the Ijora has shut down, Enugu Komai has shut down. Most of our energy generating plants have shut down. So, and we have more or less what we are pushing out is far below 5 megawatts in the last 6 or 7 years. So in that, if you're exporting to such to neighboring countries, or you have an agreement whereby you export for money, then it doesn't show any sign of seriousness for our government doing that when we have really shortfall when it comes to our national consumption countries. Because the fact remains that most of our factories are not working. Yes, agreed. Many of them have gone underground over the years. But that shows that our production level has gone down. But at the same time, our energy requirements in Africa per se, the energy requirements of Nigeria, when it comes to, as compared to our population, is far below what we are what we should be able to sell out for money. I think we should look inwards to make sure that what we actually needed in this country, the industries are all working at their maximum capacity based on our current energy requirement. So we shouldn't be exporting energy for now, even if at that it should be minimal. All because maybe you need a foreign currency, but then you should have a consumption pattern that our requirements must be we have 80% satisfied before we should think of exporting energy.
First of all, when I even saw it, my first instinct was, to even question the idea of excess per se, the excess power Nigeria say they have. Because if we want to be honest about this issue, most Nigerians do not experience electricity as something they, ever have in surplus. See that today you are seeing how do they call it in Nigeria? Rationing. We have light at intervals. This morning you have, tomorrow this one do not have. So I think we should be talking about this about export. When we talk about exporting electricity, we should start asking ourselves that question: where exactly is the extra power coming from? Because how do they call the Niger Delta Power Holding Company? I've often argued that there is excess power in Nigeria, that some generated power cannot be fully utilized locally in Nigeria due to most of the transmission bottlenecks. Because we have to understand that, first of all, it's not to have to, because Nigeria claimed they generate up to 4,000 to 5,000 megawatts, which cannot still carry over 200 million population. But we have to understand that the issue is not about the power we generate. It's about the distribution. How do we distribute it? Because any power that is not utilized or in real time on the go, it sort of reduces how the grid or the dam or whatever powers it works. So they have come out to say that there's power, but it has not been fully utilized locally, and that is why, due to all of those transmission bottlenecks and whatnot. So in simple terms, they are saying we produce electricity that the grid cannot carry efficiently, cannot cater for the whole country efficiently. So instead of wasting it, they are rerouting, it externally.
Most of these arguments are not. They are more or less unsubstantiated arguments because and there's one thing about power generation and distribution. I'm talking about DISCOs and the GENCOs. Even the distribution unit of this power. They are saying is that actually we have issue of distribution when it comes to grid pooling. Because if you have all these generating stations do what they call national pooling, national grid pooling. If you call that, some of the grids are not in consonance with what they call the modern day distribution process. So the idea now is that the generating companies in Nigeria, many of them are having issues. They're saying that they are generating enough. That's why. See, in there are a lot of countries. I see mention countries like South Africa and Egypt. South Africa has over 50 megawatts of electricity generate up to that 50 with about how many percent? Not up to 70 million. Generate about 50 megawatts. Egypt generate over about 70, with less than 90 million people. So if Nigeria is 250 million and we are generating 5 megawatts and people are defending it that we have excess power as to give out. Let me give you an example. There are countries that what we do, most countries do, developed countries do that. They generate individual power generating companies, even windmill, dam, and gas. They all put them what they call national pooling boot. All of them pool the powers and excess ones. For example, let me mention this. In Switzerland, there's a company went in Switzerland. That company has, let me mention their name. Let me mention their name, but I think it's Thales electrical company in Switzerland. This company has behind their factory, they have a small stream. They are generating about 2 megawatts, an individual company. Then 2 megawatts, the company was using about 1.5 megawatts, and the remaining 5 megawatts was put to national grid. And that's how, in the country, that's how they work. So many of them generate powers, 2 windmills and different energy sources, even solar. Then pull it to what they call the national grid. And national grid, the excess goes to national grid. But here, we don't have company that is generating up to that. You can't be generating 5 megawatts and say you have excess. That's why the country. Agreed. Even if you are generating up to 20 megawatts, we can now say, okay, we have, maybe due to that most of our industries are comatose. But then you cannot go at people, like as I'm speaking to you, so for the past, even yesterday, I had to send my neighbor, look here. You're asking me for NEPA bill. I'm paying NEPA bill for more than 1 week and I've not seen light. Yes, I've not seen light for more than 1 week and they say they're rationing. So it's like I'm just wasting the money paying NEPA bills without seeing the light. And they say they're rationing. So if you're rationing light, and people there cannot utilize what you have, and we are saying that you have excess, it's not something you can defend for you to say you are poor. But Nigeria has been under this because people were saying that you go to Nigeria has constant light, same thing with the Republic. And we are giving them, we don't have enough lights to use. So it has become more or less a policy that is not that's not defendable, that you are giving that. Probably because you want foreign exchange money. But then we should be satisfied. We should have enough light here. And before we can talk about the issue of energy. So the idea of this in Genco, I think the Genco, since most of these power units were sold in the last during Obasanjo regime, and many of them run into problem. Even generating units and the same thing distribution. They are yet to come to terms that the nation needs enough light and light for our industry to grow. Because you can't grow an industry, you can't be a production country when you don't have enough power. All these industries have to die, will die off. You go to even the artisans on the road, the hairdressers and the welders, they don't have light. You understand? Then why you say you have enough light?
Indeed, I think you've spoken extensively about how low we are generating when it comes to power generating alone, and you've mentioned different sources of energy that we also have in Nigeria. We talked about the dam, we've talked about the coal, and also right now we're also talking about solar as well, and those are other renewable energies. But before we come to other alternative sources, I want us to look at the reason Nigeria is involving in this trade, because it's a trade between Nigeria and other West African countries. And according to research, we understand that there's a treaty or a diplomatic agreement between Nigeria and Togo and Benin, and lastly for Nigeria as well, to supply them electricity when it comes to the agreement that was reached under the ECOWAS region. And the agreement also allows for Nigeria to build dams on most of waterways coming from River Niger, Benue, and some other major rivers in Nigeria. And it stops those countries from building a dam on those waterways, because we are the downstream where they are up the stream as well. So it gives us an opportunity to build, and if we're building as well, then they must also benefit from that. So that's the treaty or the agreement that has led to us, that compels Nigeria, whether we're generating 1,000, we're generating 500, we still have to sell out of that 500 to these countries, because they are also, while we might argue that they do not have that investment to build large dams and do all of that, but we see what happened in Ethiopia right now, where they've also dammed the Nile River, and the conversation and the disagreements between Ethiopia and Sudan and then Egypt, who are the downstream of the sector. And also we see what is happening in China right now. There's a dam being built right there, which is going to be the largest in the world. So other countries like Bangladesh, like India, who are also in the downstream sector, are also clamoring and wondering if they are going to get less water for their own resources and for their own electricity generation as well. So Nigeria has a responsibility in some ways to sell to them. In as much as we're generating 500 or 1,000 or 4,000, we still have to sell out of it. But from other quarters of us as well, people have made mention of how we're using this to get foreign reserves, foreign earnings into our own economy. If we sell, we earn more in dollar, because there is no single currency in the ECOWAS region, so we get more money to it. But how much have we even been able to realize from this or all of this while? So these are the questions that we need to begin to ask ourselves. Do we need to generate more? Do we need to look for alternative sources of generation, or should we look into what is most affordable, which is coal? In as much as we are talking about climate issues and climate change, if we don't have electricity, we can't even be able to get into that economic development that you have also highlighted. So can we make sure that we do what is available now before we can then look at other alternative energy generation, such as solar, wind, and even waste conversion into electricity at the end of the day? So what can be done? What should we do right now? Because most communities in Nigeria, communities even in the statement, most states in Nigeria right now are clamoring and also expressing, citizens, they are expressing their dissatisfaction when it comes to energy supply in their homes, in their offices, and in other spaces, business communities as well, or business establishments that are also being deprived of adequate electricity, who are spending more and more on alternative power generation, such as using generator, diesel fuel, or petrol. And we see how that is also skyrocketing because of the global issues that we're facing right now. So it feels as though we're in a conundrum, Engineer Chris. So what would you say? How do we get out of this quagmire?
You know, the problem of what we are facing today is like, more or less, I think, let me put it this way, leadership failure, cumulative leadership failure over time in terms of energy processing. Because today, I think there are sometimes rumors, though somebody has complained that, not only complained, but somebody has told me that actually, Abia State has more civil power now, under the present governor. Then who is running that parallel energy nature is former Minister of Power, Batinaj, who owns that power, independent power supply. There are states, I know Lagos State has an independent power supply. At the time, they built, I think, almost 80%. The factory has been put in place, but suddenly I know that discussion disappeared. I have not had anything from them again. Edo has about two, but all of them have not been in place. And then the idea was that every state can acquire such power generation, can acquire their own personal, then feed into the national grid. Because that's where the issue of distribution comes in. Distribution is more or less tied to national grid, but generation, you can generate your own independent power and feed into the national grid. So which many of the companies are now doing. But many of the countries that were almost building their own generating plant today, many of them are more or less fizzled away. And the money, more or less, has not been able to come to a particular source that you can lay hands to that. These are an amount of money that have been put into such projects. So more or less, it's like going back to square one. So this issue of more or less national policy on energy is we still have to strengthen our policy on energy. But when it comes to, because what is happening today is that there's no concrete law in place when it comes to power generation and fitting into the national grid. As I'm talking to you, so many states who have tried to do that have not been able to even at the end of the day finalize the enormous power that was signed with many countries, like the one of Baton Rouge for Abia State. It invited Korea, a consortium of a power group from Korea to come and sign on that project. And they're working fine today. But many of the states are not, nobody's hearing about what is happening to them up to today. So all these are the problem, what I call the issue of national policy on power. If a whole state house can now begin to transit to solar energy. And I think it shows that already the one we are managing has failed.
That's you need no proof no longer than that to show that the system has completely collapsed under the weight of its own incompetence of the leadership that we have. But if we go back to the issue of power generation and how you talked about, we need to have like a national reorientation or re-strategizing how we want to go forward. But when it comes to states right now, you talked about states generating. States would say that, we weren't getting more money. Our internally generated revenue could actually not sustain that. Now we are seeing states receiving more money. More money is being taken away from Nigerians' pockets and used as tax, used as other means of income generating revenue for the federal government, which are being pushed back to state as well. So what are they using that money for? Do we also need to declare a state of emergency in Nigeria when it comes to electricity generation? Because that is a huge sabotage on our economy. If we cannot have a sustainable power generation in the country, you've spoken about the National State House that has redirected their own energy source from the grid to an alternative power supply. Very soon you hear things like the National Assembly is redirecting as well. You hear different government agencies and ministries are redirecting. Sometimes you go to a government agency in Abuja, they say there's no light, or just go and sit down until they bring light before I can be able to work something on their computer to work for you. So that is a recurring problem that we've seen in the country. How can states be able to sit up, and do we need to declare state of emergency when it comes to the power generation? I don't think we take it very seriously as a problem, a national problem for the country.
It has gone to that stage. It has gone to that stage because let's see, was it last year? I was in a state secretary to Owerri. Then the Ministry of Power Department of Generation. Okay. For about 5 months there, they were using generator. Minister of Power, Imo State. In Asan, they were using generator. I was Asan. How can you go to Minister of Power, Energy and Power Resources? You go there. Minister of Petroleum. All in short, in the whole secretariat, you see about 20 generators working for different ministries. And these ministries are related to power and energy. All running generator outside. So it has become that it has look as if we are giving hope when it comes to
solving our own problem. I mean, it's just this issue they talk about Nigerians, that when you have a police station that is also getting a security agency to be with the vigilante to be securing the place at night, to secure police station, or a petroleum company that is also turning on generator, power holding company that is also. So we have a problem that we always try and find alternatives. Less sustainable solution, immediate one, just to solve our own crisis, but we never think of the long term. There was a time we had this German company Siemens come into Nigeria, and we had extensive speeches from during the administration of late Buhari that said so many things about how Siemens is going to revolutionize our energy sector in the country. We had also prominent Nigerians like Chimamanda Adichie also speaking to the German Chancellor at the time, Angela Merkel, to ask what exactly is this company doing. And when we understand that they come to Nigeria, they do their visibility study and they see that these people don't even have their I was going to use a negative word. They don't have their act together and they leave. So when people come into Nigeria, investors come and they want to look at the power sector in Nigeria, they audit and they see that there is a huge problem in the sector. Can we just dismantle everything and let's start from the beginning? Because it seems we're piling up, we're just putting a lot of bandage on a wound that we're not trying to clean up, we're not trying to see how we can make it better, we're not trying to put adequate things to ensure that this wound is healing, but we just keep on patching up different maybe we put gauze today, we put plaster tomorrow, we put I don't know what have you we put there. So that's the problem that we see, that we're compounding one issue on top of another in this country. We talk about alternative power supply, people should generate power in their homes. Of course we want people to be generating alternative power supply, but look at what governments around the world are doing. Governments like the Chinese government, American government, they are investing heavily on solar technology and wind as well. But when it comes to solar technology, everybody just wants to have their own solar system in their home. An entire state can have an investment on a solar generating power for the entire state, and that is what should be done. For the short term, for the long term, we can then be thinking about our own research institutions, our own energy alternative institutions as well. What can they do to see how can we convert our waste? We generate waste a whole lot in this country, and we've seen that research has shown that waste as well can be converted into energy. So what can we do with the waste that we are generating in the country? If you say Nigeria is there are times where even waste from other countries are shipped to other countries so that they can use for recycling, power generation. But we have that abundance of waste that we're generating in this country because we're a waste generator. So let us use that waste that we're generating to even use that as an alternative power supply. If all local governments, Engineer Chris, if all local governments can say this is what we can do to generate from this local government, if we're not even putting it on the national grid, what can we do differently?
At least to help yourself.
To help yourself in that local community. But we're not seeing anybody, everybody just interested about what they can get for themselves. And every 4 years or every 8 years, you get a minister of power that will promise heaven and earth. We know what Adelabu promised us. We know what Fashola promised us. I was watching a video recently of Fashola saying that, the energy sector is not actually something that is so complete. It's not, what's English that you use? He said something along the line that it's not complicated. It's something that can be resolved within a few years. You just need to put things together. But when they get there, they become clueless because the entire system is not even functioning as for a human being to look at it and say, this is what I want to look for a solution to it. So we need to dedicate.
When this Bolage came with all his mind that
you see brilliant men become fools when they get there.
Exactly. When they because
and that's not an insult, it's a reality.
It shows that there is a policy problem. You understand? How the system make sure that if you come to an idea, you are stifled out of the whole system.
Yes,
nothing works.
Nothing works.
So it's part of our inherent problem that we are having in this country. People who come with good ideas.
They come with good ideas. There was an idea of privatization. There were for the distribution company. Now we've seen many distribution companies all around the country, and they are also saying that some institutions, even Aso Rock was owing them money for the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company. The National Assembly is owing them money. Private citizens are also bypassing. So these people are not making money. There's a huge debt on the federal government right now. So where are we going to get it right? The only way we can do it, from my own opinion, in expert opinion as it may be, is that we need to decentralize the system. Let everybody just find their own way. States should find their own problem. Because federal government cannot solve this problem. If they can solve it, Cynthia, they would not go for solar.
Well, I think decentralization is not even the issue now. It's not the issue now because I remember when I went on the streets to, I think for Science on the Street, and I was asking people, during my findings, I discovered that the problem is not generation. The problem is not to decentralize it. The problem still lies in distribution and management. Because even if you say you decentralize it and a whole community can come up with power supply for themselves, solar, this, that, how are they going to distribute it to themselves will still remain another. So there are so many bottlenecks to this issue. So the problem is about distribution. There is power supply. There is electricity, but how are we distributing it to people is the problem. Because what MD Niger Delta Power Holding Company are coming out to say, well, if you look listen to what they are saying very well and you take it into consideration critically, you understand that it goes back to distribution. They are saying there is power, there is electricity, but the problem is that they cannot distribute it, and at the end of the day, this power is wasting. The unused power is wasting, and that is the reason why. But people are taking it as an excuse that that's the reason why they are, selling it to, distributing it to other companies to generate money. In as much as that is good, but the problem is, how are we going to distribute it in our own country? And there are so many ways. So it goes back now to infrastructure. It's for the government not to be ready, have the political will, put the infrastructure in place. They are not ready to. Nigerian government. They are not ready to bear the cost. That's what we are talking about here. The federal government is. The federal government. They are not ready to bear the cost of all of these things. If they are ready to bear the cost, it's not about decentralization. If they can manage power, if they can ensure that they put everything in place, the infrastructure, storage facilities for this power. Whenever power is not being used, if I turn off my light, power is not being used again. It reduces how the dam or whatever grid charges it. It reduces how it works. So when it is not working at that point in time, there needs to be a storage facility where you store this power, so that when it is in high demand again, then you can roll it out again, then you start using it. So I think the problem still lies in distribution. We don't know how to manage power in Nigeria. We don't know how to distribute it. So those are the two major problems. That is why we are going back to generating. We know how to generate power. We have dams. We have the grid. We can generate power. If we want to use sun, we will use sun today and generate it for everybody. But how are we going to distribute it to everybody? If they had us in mind, they wouldn't just create. What are they using in the White House, in the government house in Aso Rock now? They are using it. So why didn't they think of how they can? It's not that they can't generate power. That is another way of generating power. They are using solar now, but they did not think of how can we distribute it to everybody, because they are thinking Nigeria is over how many million people? Nigeria is over how many? When people leave their houses to work, they put off lights. Power is saving there. So you cannot tell me that we have unused power in Nigeria. We have unused power in Nigeria. How are you distributing the unused power locally? How are you saving it? How are you conserving energy? So this is how we go to. The talk is very big.
But
that's why.
You see, this. The three parts when it comes to the whole component that makes up energy supply. When you talk about distribution, and talk of generation, then the other one is marketing.
Marketing.
Then the people who are in charge of distribution, like Sapele, most of the grids we have today are purely gas. Most of the generating power stations we have in Nigeria today, most of the dams are gone. Kenji is more or less not working. The coal system in Enugu and Jora Lagos have all packed over the years. So more or less it's gas. Egbitama station, which is based in Lagos, gas is supplied from Sapele. Anytime there's an issue of Niger Delta crisis, they cut off supply. And they are saying that, the marketing is saying that generation are owing a net of billions of naira. And so there's an issue of supply. And when they now have the power, and when if you see, look at it logically, you are distributing. This area, you give them light for 5 days. They shut down this area, and later it's supplied to this area. More like what is telling you is that you are not getting enough for you to say you are distributing. So logically, you know that there's a problem. All these segments have issue in the Nigerian power system. So it says all these parameters, we should go and sit back and then let our people in the assembly. The problem that we don't have people who really have the nation at mind to work. That's the truth about it. Things are not working because we don't want it to work. And that's why today you bring a minister of this, he tells by in the next 5 months things will change and nothing happens. You understand? Because when you go there, the system will stifle you to make sure that you don't succeed. You understand? So it boils down to what I call national policy, and our policy makers are more or less have given up. It's like
now the shameless policy is to distribute power to other countries and generate revenue. Okay, I'm not complaining about the revenue you're generating to other companies. I mean, you've put it right. It's under a treaty signed with even the ECOWAS. But what are you using that money for? Are we not supposed to use it to build the infrastructure where we use to conserve power in the country? So I think we just like the political will.
In some ways, I still retain my own position of decentralization. And decentralization alone doesn't come from, let's say, the generating or the distribution. Or it encompasses everything. If you can have an island in Lagos, which is Banana Island, generating its own electricity, distribute it, there's nothing wrong in a community or a local government investing in distribution of electricity within their own local government, or a state investing heavily in the distribution sector, in that arm of energy structure. So that's what I mean by decentralization. It's not only for, because if we wait, we can't even wait. That's
if you're coming from that angle, that we shouldn't wait.
Can't even wait.
If we wait for state government as well, we'll still go back to this issue.
We should go back to this issue because the problem continues to regenerate itself. We'll still come back. So we'll still come back to same because we know we are suffering with cables and wires and so.
It's
with the distribution issue.
It's exactly. That's why I said it still goes back to the government. The government
is also using technology, artificial intelligence to monitor different centers. Can we have like a facility that monitors different? Let's say local government has like a monitoring centers. I don't know what they call it. To have CCTV in all of these big installations to monitor if there's a problem going to arise from there. They are able to see it and deploy contact necessary agency to ensure that they go there and stop the people that are trying to vandalize the system. Even for monitoring how we don't have cold temperatures in Nigeria, low cold temperatures in Nigeria, but countries that have that, they experience winter. They have technologies that they use to monitor how electricity is being distributed, how the cold is, the winter cold is affecting the pipelines or different distribution channels that they have. Imagine that they can use technology to do all of that from the comfort of their own homes or the comfort of their own regulatory institution. How much Africa can do, even if it is a human what is it called, person that you want to force that you want to distribute in all of this area to ensure that they guard all of those centers. We can afford it as a country, but the problem is multifaceted, just like we mentioned. The problem requires different stakeholders to come on board to solve the problem. And that's why I think we need to have a national conversation, because you continue to solve this problem by deploying forces or we're deploying or distributing or budgeting 50 billion this year, 10 billion naira this year. We're not going to get the problem right until we come together as one, state, local, and energy distributors, energy generators, private investors. Let everybody come together and let's say this is the problem that we have. If we don't solve it in this year, Nigeria is going to crumble. We need to get it right.
But the problem is that I think the federal government must also have the will to make things work. I mean, that's the number one thing. Because if you look at all what is happening, so you see, both generation and distribution, they're all highly capital intensive. That's why you see that it's not issue of decentralizing. How many people can go into power generation?
Can afford it?
It goes back to the federal government.
And are they also making international private investors, are they making the system also conducive for them to operate that business in Nigeria? Because I talked about Siemens, I talked about different other international partners have come, but they look at the problem that you have and they see that you are not even serious. So they will go.
No, I say it's the will. Okay, look at
it's the will. It still goes back to the political will.
We are talking about the power now. What happens to water? You know that in the last 10 years we are still having a minister for power resources. How many power do you see, public water do you see now people enjoy? It's once you be after building a house, you try to put a borehole. So it has gone, but in entire times we see.
May our God not sink one day.
So sure, the minister still come into place. They put minister for water resources up to now. But then not the issue. Who is giving
Abuja doesn't have a water system that supplies all the nooks and crannies of the city.
NEPA will not go that way. Power resources will not go that way. Whereby it becomes that if you have your house, you don't look for a way to generate your light. That's the thing, because it looks like the national.
Which is not affordable. It's not affordable.
It's
not an affordable lifestyle, whether we like it or not. The government still owe us. It is their responsibility. It is their responsibility.
Social welfare issues is still boiled down to the government. What are they really giving?
It is their responsibility.
Power or water? What are they really enjoying today? Is it good road? Or is it power? So
that's where accountability comes in. That's what we're talking about. Also, the different arm of government, and that's what the beauty of democracy is not being achieved in Nigeria. Because if we have regulatory oversight that is being performed by the National Assembly, they are able to look at the federal government and say, what are you doing? What are you not getting right? Who should be sacked? They have the opportunity to sack the president. They have the power, not even opportunity, they have the power to sack the president. They have the power to even suspend or sack any ministers in the country that is not even performing. But when you hear them or your mandate will stand, how do you expect that person to come and question the people who are in government when they are already standing on somebody's mandate?
Even when they are going for oversight function, they are going there with going back with the brown envelopes, and when they come, they just sign and leave
they sign and go. Or when the minister has come to be scrutinized before they come into the system, they say bow and go. You've showed that you can do. You've done well, or you're bow and go. So that's because you're not grilling them. You're not asking them the critical question to understand that is this person capable of solving this issue? And when it comes to the appointment of ministers as well, just lastly before we round up, the National Assembly has also stated to the presidency that attach portfolios with each ministers when you're bringing them to the National Assembly, so that we know the questions we're asking them. You just give all of these people directly and say that, go and be examined by the National Assembly. So they are just examining them blindly. You can't be able to pinpoint or tailor it to as a prospective minister of power. What can you do? What are your antecedents? What have you done? What are your qualifications for this sector? We have none. So they just examine them blindly, or they say bow and go, or we stand on your mandate. Well, let everybody continue to stand on the mandate and let's see what light we have.
Okay, I think that's about we can take on the discussion segment. We'll say the whole lot, and we still have a whole lot to talk about, but that's why we have you there, our lovely viewers. If you have what to say, things you want to add to the discussion we've had today, thoughts, opinions, you can send in your comments on all our social media platforms at Idea Television, and of course via our email. But we've had a wonderful conversation so far. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for joining us every day. Thank you for giving us your time. But then we have to see what's trending, and that will be after this break. Stay with us.
Democratize generative AI. Generative AI, which creates new content like text, images, or music, is becoming more accessible. This trend is enabling businesses and individuals to leverage powerful AI tools without needing deep technical expertise. Tools like DALL-E are already transforming marketing, entertainment, and design. However, as generative AI becomes democratized, concerns about copyright infringement and misuse of content are rising.
Okay, welcome back, and this is what's trending here on Idea Morning Digest. Let's see the first story we have here. A woman identified as Tracy Ohiri has released a new video addressing her earlier allegations against David Umahi, in which he had accused him of owing her money and making inappropriate advances. In the video shared online, Ohiri appeared emotional as she apologized to Nigerians, stating that her previous actions were influenced by circumstances surrounding her attempt to recover the money she claimed she was owed to her. Ohiri had initially made the allegations publicly, drawing widespread reactions across social media and political circles. She later retracted her claims, stating that she wanted to give peace a chance, a move that further fueled public debate over the credibility of her statement and the circumstances surrounding the dispute. But when I look at this situation, I mean, we were talking about it before we came on set, involving Tracy Ohiri and David Umahi. What stands out to me is not even the apology itself. It's the fact, it's the pattern we keep seeing in Nigerian disputes, where people will come out and they'll start raise public concerns, call everybody's attention, and then suddenly they'll get it resolved somewhere in private. I don't know however they get it resolved, and then they'll come out in public and then they'll leave us without clarity. They come out and they claim that they are setting the tone right or trying to make peace, but I don't know where that is coming from. But if I want to be honest, this is credibility has become very fragile, and it is becoming a problem, because once money, influence, or offers enter into the picture, then you see that truth will become will be stifled, because it will be hard to even pin down. And for every Nigerian watching this, I'm just saying this creates some sort of a quiet but I think dangerous message that outcomes, the outcomes may sort of depend less on facts and more on who has more leverage, and it is a problem. It is a problem. It's becoming a pattern which I do not like, and I'm not sure what is going on out there. But I'm also thinking about the pressure on individuals like her, because social media can, amplify a voice overnight, and then the next thing, it doesn't protect that voice. You'll be left to, stand alone. You can go viral today and you feel like, okay, everybody is getting my attention, and the next minute you are overwhelmed with legal battles, you're overwhelmed with financial charges, you're overwhelmed with, they are suing you left, right, and center. We don't even talk about the emotional, attachment of all of these things. So when she comes out and says she accepted an offer, and I kind of hear a survivor tone there. There's a survivor tone attached to it, because that statement is, it's more like a compromise. I was telling you outside that why would she come out and say something? I mean, she has compromised so many things. She has compromised her identity, her business, her family, her integrity. I don't know why she ever agreed to come out to make that statement. It's one thing for you to come out and, try to make peace, and it's another thing for you to come out and compromise your own stance. It's a problem. I think that is where she got it wrong. And then you are coming out again to say if Nigeria does not. I don't like the tone of that, and it's I mean, from a very uncomfortable angle. I think these kinds of reverses that are weakening genuine voices. People will come out and say people should help them, or genuine victims. It is going to affect them in the long run, and I don't know who the next person this is going to happen to, but people will not want to listen to you when you come out to say Nigerians should help you. I mean, while you are laughing, I mean, you have so much to say, but I'm very angry.
Let me I know you've been angry about the news since it resurfaced online again, but let me play the devil's advocate here and pitch my tent on the part of Ohiri, because this is a poor woman who has been
a poor woman,
not poor, but when I mean poor, I mean helpless in this situation. Helpless in this situation. Let's give the context all over again. This is a woman who came out to say to call out David Umahi, the current Minister of Works in Nigeria, to say this man has been owing me over 100 million naira. I've worked for his campaign and all of the things when he was governor. This man came out on social media, and she was picked up from her state, brought to Abuja, locked up, and called in for questioning. They say they called her for questioning, but they flown her from her state down to Abuja, and she was locked up. She was not allowed to be granted bail from the police custody. And David Umahi as well, the minister, was called in for questioning, and David Umahi refused to say that he knows this woman. He said, I don't know her, I have no business with her. And the woman said, oh, you also claim to have sexual relationship with me, you claim not to give me my money, and you claim something that happened to a certain number of people in one state is going to happen to me. And that shows that there's a threat on her life. And we saw people like I've forgotten his name right now, Yele Sowore, also come to aid, trying to see what can we do to help this woman. Yele Sowore was also at the first headquarters that day to see what can be done to settle this dispute, but they were unable to resolve it, so the matter went to court. So there was a time she also slumped and also fainted. We saw what that happened at the hospital. So this woman has been frustrated. She said her parents needs the money, her children needs the money, her business as well is also failing because of this huge investment that she's made into the business. So what happened is that after a few days, we now see her come online and say that, David Umahi did not attempt to have any sexual relationship with me. David Umahi did not do this. I retract my statement.
You said so much.
And she said so much. I said, Nigerians, I thank you, but I don't need your help any longer. These people are... so after that, Omoyele already came out to say that this woman has been paid back her money, and the condition that they gave her to pay the money is that she needs to go online and retract all of the allegations, because when proven allegations you leveled against this minister, you must retract all of them. on camera, which she did. So a lot of backlash came for her, and then she decided that, oh, I can't take it anymore. My conscience is not allowing me. So she came out online again to say, I'm sorry, Nigeria, I didn't mean to do it, but I was pushed, and the money was there for me to collect. If I didn't collect my money and I continue to pursue this, I don't have the power. Look at the judges, wicked, are building houses for them. And these the judges I want to go and Nigeria is just an interesting theater. So she said that Wike is building houses. So are these the judges I want to go and do my case in front of them? What's the possibility that I'm going to be favored, and I don't have the money to be traveling back from Lagos to, from my state to Abuja and be put. And we saw what happened to the lady who refused to Ericsson, who criticized Ericsson and said the product that they created was not up to par. We saw she lost her pregnancy. Marriage is almost crumbling as well. Her life has not remained the same, and the case continues to be in court over and over the months or even years right now. So this woman is looking at the woman of Ericsson's case. She's looking at other Nigerians who are helpless like her, who other people will champion cause for them online, and at the end of the day, they will be the one to suffer for it. So in some way, she used her two brains together. She rubs her two brains together and said, let me just collect my money. I don't care about my integrity. I don't care about any other thing. Let me just say whatever I want to say and get my money, because that's my priority. And later I will come back and cry for it. I just hope she's been able to withdraw the money, because if they close the account, if they close the account, that will be the end of it. But it just shows at the end of the day, that people do not trust in the system. People do not think that the system is there to care for ordinary people, because if you trust in the system, you'll be able to uphold your own integrity. You're able to be bold enough to say that, let's go to the court. I have my evidence, right? You have your own evidence. Let the court decide what's going to happen. But we see that the case will continue to be adjourned, and you're going to be there wasting more money that will tune into millions of naira that you want to use to get back your own money. At the end of the day, perhaps the court is not even going to rule in your favor. So what do you get? You have the money here. Just take it and let go of any other integrity that you have. That is the situation that we found ourselves because of our justice system in the country.
A very serious, a very long talk there, but then let's see the next story we have here. A man has shared the video online alleging he has nearly cheated, or he was nearly cheated during a fuel purchase at a filling station after attendants reportedly manipulated the pump meter. And according to the details from the footage, the man had requested 20,000 naira worth of fuel and had already begun recording the transaction using Meta smart glasses before the process started. The video shows the pump meter already reading 5,501 naira before fuel dispensing began. Before fuel dispensing began, prompting him to immediately confront the attendant for failing to reset the meter and starting the scale without his consent. The incident reflects a broader pattern of complaints across Nigeria's downstream sector, where motorists have repeatedly raised concerns about under-dispensing and pump manipulation. Investigations and reports indicate that some attendants deploy tactics such as presetting meters, stopping pumps before the full amount is dispensed, or using restart buttons to conceal the actual quantity sold. I think this one, as everybody knows about it. It's not a shocking video to me. It's just a familiar one, because what interests me is the role of technology. Let me even shift from what is happening there first. The role technology is playing here, because the man used the smart glasses to record the transaction, and it tells you that Nigerians are no longer just complaining. They are documenting what is happening, and we thank God for technology. Technology is there to help us, document some of these things. In cases where you talk about something and people say, are you sure? Or it's a lie. But we have the issue documented there, and the evidence is there. And there's a shift from, what he said to evidence-based confrontation. And also another deeper issue is that how we have normalized all of this small-scale cheating in the system, because people talk about corruption at the top, billions missing, monkey stole this one stole that, but this is the street level version of corruption that we don't like to bring ourselves with. We don't like to come to terms with, because this is what almost every of us in Nigeria does. And if a station like this can, shave off 500 naira, 1,000, we think it's small money. Even if it's 100 naira, they steal from you. It is something. It is something. We are looking at a serious issue, and they do this to, you know, the amount of cars that goes into that station in a day, and they do this to almost every car that, comes here to buy fuel. You can imagine the tens of thousands they amass daily from people, from motorists. And this is a problem. Multiply that across, if you want to even multiply that across nationwide, it has become a quite massive economic leakage that is affecting people, that is affecting everyday Nigerians. I mean, I go back to saying this doesn't start and end with our political leaders, our politicians, or our leaders in different places. It starts with us as well. Many of them, if we even want to go back to the deeper, because some people will beg to look at the deeper issue of this and say some of them are underpaid, and this is what leads them to things like this. Sometimes most of them earn less than 40,000 naira, 60,000 naira monthly. And when a system is poorly regulated, wages are low, people will start looking for ways to cut corners. This is the problem we get. But this is not to justify this. I'm just trying to explain why some of these things, keep happening. When we look at a problem, when we identify a problem, I always like to talk about, go back and see why that is happening. So what I really, we are really seeing is all of those regulatory gaps. Agencies exist, but we don't have proper enforcement. Our enforcement is very inconsistent. We should look at how all of these things are being done, the causes of these things, and try to crack down from the not just the surface level, from the root level. But Wale, what do you have to say?
Well, this is a manifestation of corruption at the low level of the society, and we see that it cuts across all levels over the years. And just like you mentioned, it's not surprising that we're seeing this happen. It has been happening over time, and there are also allegations or reports that we are hearing that this is also done in collaborations with their managers or supervisors at those filling stations, that they allow them to do this so that they can also get some money from this pump attendant at the end of the day. I have experience with people who have worked there, and they've also told their stories about that is how they get to feed themselves as well. When you talked about low wages, that is also, those are the corrupt practices that they engage in. And most of them are taught when it comes to how corruption is passed down from one person to another. When you come there and you meet somebody that has worked there before, or somebody that is going to say, this is not so we did do. If you don't want to come here, just you can't Lagos, can't bridge. Those kind of things, they try to get you into their own corrupt system. So we see all this manifest in this filling station. And thank God this man has his smart camera from his glasses where he's able to capture this. I hope the person is prosecuted, because it's a crime. No matter how small the money is, or no matter how little it is. And at this time where petroleum prices is on a high side, you can imagine somebody bringing out 20,000 that is not even enough to buy 15 liters of fuel, and you're still short-charging him in some ways. So that calls into questions the integrity of the people that are there. But we've also highlighted the issue of low wages as well. Some are being paid as low as 10,000 naira. It was here we broke that news as well, that there was a station that was being paid, staff that were being paid 10,000 naira before they were able to raise awareness about this rate alarm online, and they're now being paid the minimum wage. So that is the question that we need to also look at. Who are those regulating these agencies? Can we ensure it's not only people working? You know, when people were talking about, is it Pegasus or this union that fought for the workers at the Dangote refinery, they should fight for people like this as well. It's not people that are collecting millions or billions that the unions will be there to show that responsibility for them and say we want to fight for our people because they are able to bring more money to your union organization. But people at the lower level like this as well should be fought for. That does not excuse the activity or the action that is happening right now. But we're saying that we're looking at different areas to see that we solve this problem. We need to solve this problem by ensuring that we prosecute people who are perpetrating this crime, and also to ensure that staff welfareism is also prioritized in terms of how much they are making, or the what is it called, the time frame, routine shift as well, because some of them work from morning till night and night till morning again, and for small pay. So those are the things that we need to do. The working environment is not conducive for them. They are inhaling a lot of fumes from morning till night. In 10 years time, these people will develop a lot of sickness that even their money that they were able to realize for this few years will not be able to solve. So all of these are incentives that needs to be, do they even have health insurance? There are people who are falling sick that they'll just tell them go because they're not in an organized system. So how can the labor force in Nigeria ensure that we bring these people into the labor system, or the labor organized labor system in the country, to ensure that they're also catered for, no matter how much they are being paid? They should, because they're not in the informal sector. They are in the formal sector, because petroleum companies are registered under the formal sector in the country. So we can't say that they are under the informal sector and they're not going to be catered for. So all of these are the issues that we need to put in place, while not excusing the act of corruption that is happening.
Yes. Okay, let's see the last story we have here. Nigerian billionaire businessman Femi Otedola has sparked reactions online after a video surfaced showing him riding a bicycle in a public area during a visit to the Maldives. In the clip circulating on social media, Otedola is seen casually cycling in what appears to be a serene environment, drawing attention from Nigerians who reacted to his relaxed lifestyle abroad. The video has generated widespread engagement across social media platforms, with many users commenting on the contrast between the billionaire's leisure activity and the economic realities faced by ordinary Nigerians. Others, however, viewed the moment as a display of simplicity and personal freedom, noting that cycling is a common recreational activity regardless of social status. I mean, I'll take the last statement for it, but I know the reaction says more about Nigerians than it does about him, because there's a kind of emotional contrast people are trying to draw from just this clip of a man enjoying his time, relaxing. He's relaxed and we are struggling. So that's the picture they are trying to paint, and that feeling is real, because Nigeria's inflation has been, going back to Nigeria's inflation, has been around 20 to 30% range in recent times. We're battling with fuel price of recent. I mean, I don't know what to even say about it. It has jumped significantly. We're battling with a whole lot of things, and disposable income is tight. People are struggling to even eat a day. So when people see leisure at that level, they feel like, it can feel very distant and unfair to them. But he's not the person you are supposed to be holding accountable. You're not supposed to hold him accountable. He doesn't owe us anything. He's a businessman. He's just a popular businessman. But I also think there's another layer people are also missing. Wealth at that level often buys some sort of anonymity more than, should I say, luxury, because a bicycle ride in the Maldives is not about showing off. In Nigeria, we think some certain things, we have so much glorified suffering that we think some certain things, it's more like you are showing off. It's more like a show of status, a show of, power, riches, and all of those things. But it is not what it is in this case. It's actually just, one of those few places someone like him, I have money, can move to freely without pressure, without any pressure that comes with being rich in Nigeria. You can go there if you have money. In the past few years, we've seen a lot of Nigerians travel to the Maldives to enjoy themselves. Some of our neighbors, our friends we know, and you see on a daily, and you feel like, so this person have money. It's not as expensive as we think. I don't know about traveling to Maldives. I don't know about that, but it's not as expensive as before.
Maybe we need to go there and cover this developers to right. We can ride the bicycle. I'll follow Otedola hear from him his innovation. So when it comes to riding.
If I even also want to add something to that, because there's something quietly, I'm becoming very sentimental about it. There's something quietly powerful about simplicity that we don't really talk about. You know, the ability to just enjoy something very basic, like cycling, like the tennis president, Senator Oluremi was, you know, playing with the other political leader without, you know, without that need to prove any status. We should just change our mindset in Nigeria. That's the level of, I just think, I don't know how to put it, but for me, it's just a story about a billionaire riding a bike. Nothing serious there. Anybody can, you know, ride a bike. I don't know why Nigerians are interpreting how Nigerians are interpreting it. They're interpreting it to wealth, freedom, poverty. I don't know what they are trying to compare here. I'm not seeing what they are trying to do. But
if I can go into the
conversation is worth having.
If I can try to go into the psyche of most critics about this video, they're trying to talk about how so he himself is not even the attack right now, if I can say. He's a representation of the system that we have in Nigeria. That they are seeing him as an affluent person, as somebody who is high up there in the society, as somebody who's also influential. And we've seen how rich people, especially people in political parties or political power in the country, misbehave and use the money the way they can, however they deem fit. You talked about Oluremi Tinubu, the First Lady of Nigeria. There was a video circulated of her recently, or a few months ago, where she was in a garden saying, oh, this is a small garden that I also nurture. You can also create a garden in your house to ensure that the food inflation will go down. That's a form of simplicity to say that this, I'm also down to earth, I'm doing this. But people are seeing that as a hypocrisy. In Nigeria, people are suffering. People are not seeing enough. And you can't even ride this bicycle in the comfort of your home in Nigeria. What have you contributed to it? That's why I'm saying that it's not him per se. It's just like a part representing a whole for the entire country. Most Nigerian not even most Nigerians, all Nigerian presidents cannot go freely on the road. We see what's happening in Iran right now. The country is being bombed. How you see the president walking on the streets, shaking people's hands, the foreign minister, most of the security agencies, they are walking on the road, joining the rally. People are taking pictures with them. There are no heavy security. So you can go abroad, enjoy your time in a serene environment. But down in Nigeria, you've created the chaos that we are surviving inside. So we want you to come and join us in that chaos. Perhaps if you experience that chaos, you create that environment where everybody can enjoy, and you can ride your own bicycle on the streets in Lagos at maybe Otedola Road or Bodilion Road. You can ride your maybe Lekki or wherever, even the Eco Bridge. You can ride your bicycle and nobody is going to attack you because you've contributed to building a country that you are proud of. You don't have to go to other country to enjoy your time, to have free time. You've talked about many Nigerians going abroad. Of course, many Nigerians are going there, but many millions more Nigerians cannot afford to go there. And that's the angle that they are seeing it. He's a representation of a system in the country, and that's why they're attacking him. They're not even attacking him because it's Otedola, he has money. He's a representation of a system that Nigerians are frustrated with, that Nigerians want to change to, so that all our presidents as well can go on the streets like the prime ministers of other countries and can be exchange handshake with ordinary citizens. But if you see that in Nigeria, maybe they will stone them to death. Who knows? So that's why they need to be very careful about their own security. But that's all I have to say.
It's just about Nigeria, how Nigerians interpret wealth, freedom, and how they are contrasting it to our economic reality, just like you've said in the moment. But that's the much we can take from the Idea Morning Digest today. We've seen across the headlines all of the stories there. We've seen the discussion segment, and we've also seen what's trending on social media today. If you have ideas, comments, opinions about what we've discussed today across all different segments of the Idea Morning Digest, you can send in your thoughts on all our social media platforms at Idea Television, and of course via our email at ideatv at ideatvlimited.com. Hope I got that correctly. But yes, you can also catch the replay of this segment and all other segments of the Idea Morning Digest on our digital streaming platforms on YouTube and Limex at Idea Television. But yes, well, it's been a wonderful morning, starting it with you, our viewers, and yes, of course, with the one and only Wale. My name is Cynthia Basi, and Wale.
And Adewale Olajupo. It's been a wonderful morning. See you tomorrow, same time, same station.